Al-Fatiha and I can do better than the surah, you will say it's failing because it's not meeting the language, it's not meeting the poetic understanding of it, it's not meeting the phonetic,
that's the problem.
the grammatic,
No, you
the language. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what you would say.
no.
So therefore, nobody can meet your challenge. Nobody can. Because you're making sure nobody meets it.
Shakespeare's work and imitate it.
I can do better than the Quran. I can. I can do much better than the Quran.
Yeah, of course.
I'll explain to you how to pray.
Wait.
When to pray.
Wait.
The Quran doesn't do that.
Wait.
I will tell you why you shouldn't pray to a black stone.
Relax.
The Quran doesn't do that.
Relax.
No, but you have to let me speak as well, brother.
Arrogance is taking over you, right?
Because you are not allowing me speak.
Let me explain to you again.
Okay, go for it.
Ring like this doesn't mean you bring my hat.
That's not equatable.
Excuse me. Try to understand what am I saying.
I did
Now,
already.
am I putting constraints or am I putting a condition?
Condition. No.
When I say bring something like this ring and you bring this cap, now, am I putting a constraint or am I putting condition on
That's a condition.
condition? So the Quran gives a condition, bring something like it.
No, I'll explain to you. When you say bring something like my ring, it's a circular, has a shape like that, and it shines against the sun. Those are constraints. So that's what you're doing.
Saying like it.
So can I not bring a verse,
Wait.
a chapter like the Surah Al-Nisa? Sorry, Surah Al-Fatiha.
Wait.
And what is the constraints or conditions?
Wait. So you want to bring something like Al-Fatiha, right?
Yeah, it's simple.
Okay, good. Al-Fatiha has its likeness.
What's its
It
likeness?
has stylistics.
What's the
It
stylistic?
starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
I don't believe in that. So I don't need to put it in that way.
Believe it or not.
What do you mean? I'm writing something better. Why would I write it in the same fashion? It makes no sense.
Listen.
It makes no sense.
If you want to make something like the Quran, look at the stylistics. So it starts with harf al-jar, ba, then a noun, ism. So mudaf ilayhi, bism. Then it has Allah here. Now here, Allah is what? We're talking about the stylistics now. Is Allah a sifa or a badal of this ism now? And then talks about Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. In this pattern, you have a pattern from the same linguistic madda, rahm, is Ar-Rahman in the patterns of fa'alan and then fa'il. So you have now a grammatical construct, a stylistics. Harf al-jar, ism, which is mudaf ilayhi, and then you have a noun, which is what? A badal, a na'at, a sifa, what do you want to call it? And then you have the na'at of that, the second badal, maybe, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. This is the construct. Let me give you an example of how this pattern is not, even that first line is not matchable even in Arabic language. Because we're talking to bring something like in Arab, because the Quran is in Arabic. The Quran says we have revealed the Quran in Arabic. So you have to bring something like the Quran which is Arabic. If somebody says, Bismil Amir Al-Akram Al-Kareem, same stylistics. Bismil Amir, in the name of the Prince, Al-Akram, the most generous, Al-Kareem, the very generous. Now, an Arab-speaking person will say, what are you talking about? We don't speak like this. It's not even eloquent, it makes no sense. You're actually making a mockery of language. Oh, Bismil Amir Al-Akram Al-Kareem. No, we don't say things like that. So that stylistic pattern is not going to be an eloquent speech even today to the Arabic-speaking person, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. But that's the construct in the Arabic language, and it is eloquent at that time, even today. No one disputes this eloquence. That was verse 1, ayah 1. You go to Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, you will realize what's happening here. It starts with al, definitive particle al, with a hamd, making things all praise. The Arabs at that time, we're talking about now to understand this nature, they never used that. Now, hamd, praise, with the beginning of their statement ever with definitive article with al, alhamd. They would say hamdan li something and continue. And then it says Rabbul Alameen. The Arab at that time never had in the vocabulary, there was more than one alam, one word. But here is plural. Alamin. So it's bringing a totally new concepts that they were not familiar with at all. Just like if you go back to the English people in the 14th century and say, oh, look at the effect of globalization. Globalization? What is globalization? They don't have a word called globalization. It's a modern word. So Quran introduces terms which it didn't exist in the vocabulary. So if you're going to bring something like the second ayah of the Quran within Surah Al-Fatiha, you better find a stylistics like that exactly. And yet it needs to be acceptable to the Arabs. The terms that you're going to introduce, which is totally unknown but new now, the linguistic innovation, and it needs to be meaningful and correct factually, because we know there are more than one world today, many worlds. That's why we're even talking about multiverses, many worlds, worlds of jinn, worlds of men, worlds of animals, many worlds, not one world. So if you're going to bring something like it, you have to bring with this particular stylistics, and I can go on and finish the whole chapter, and you'll realize anyone on planet Earth will not be able to do so, because the stylistics is such in that manner.
Well, my dispute would be that the Prophet was actually challenged not by just himself, that he wasn't literate, he was unable to, as you said earlier and your colleague said, he couldn't read, right? Okay, so that means he would have not been able to come up with such magnificence. That's your claim, right? Okay, cool. So in the same sentence, you're also claiming that even though the Prophet was illiterate, he was able to come up with such a language, speak in such a way.
It was given. It was given.
He spoke.
It's not his.
Was it not spoken?
It's not his.
Was it not spoken out of his mouth?
Let me clarify one thing.
But you have to keep it short, otherwise,
Keep it short. Once we compare his speech that we find in the hadith, you know what the hadith are, right?
Another man explaining something else.
When we look at the hadith, his statements, we see the stylistics are different than the Quran. And when a scholar of language, literary theory, linguistics, they look at the stylistics, they will say it doesn't come from one individual.
But that was not their purpose to write in that way.
My evidence against what you're saying is this: when the statement of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is examined with the Quranic stylistics, they are totally different.
I accept.
That means the Quran was not his own, because he had his own speech, and the Quran goes outside his stylistics. So it was given to him as he says.
That's what you claim. But at the same time, in the hadiths, it also talks about people who challenged the Prophet, and they came to him and said, you speak like a prophet, like a soothsayer, like a liar. It's irrelevant. It's in one of the hadiths. I don't know the names exactly, because it does. Who are the ashabas of the Prophet? All of the people that were there that will learn the entire Quran by memory. Do you know it? Do you know it? You don't know it, so you can't ask me that question. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. How many of them were there?
60.
60? Yeah. No, there were more than that. 400 it says in one of the hadiths. And many of them died.
Historical details.
But before we go there, because I know you're cutting me off, don't cut me off, right? I want to get to the point where your dispute.
I'm asking for clarification. You can't bring something from history without telling me.
It's in Muslima, one of the hadiths in Muslima.
In Sahih Muslim, you mean?
Yes.
What does it say?
It says about those who came to the Prophet and they disputed him, saying that you are a poet, you're a soothsayer. You know what that means? You're a liar. You're a concealer. You speak in such tone.
The Quran then challenged them.
Yeah, exactly. No. The Quran then, a verse comes out in exact same wordings that says the Prophet is not that. Right? So it does. One second. No. Allah is so concerned. Allah is so concerned that His Prophet is being seen in such a light. He instantaneously brings about another verse that fights the same wordings that these people use. Why would God care about that? That's the first thing. Second thing. No, it's in the Quran.
No, I want to address this.
Yeah, but you're going to address it. But I haven't finished.
The Quran interacts with people at that time directly. When people came saying, oh, you brought it something, the Quran says, okay, you think it's not from Allah, produce something like it. You think he forged it? Bring something like it. Or you think he learned it from someone else? Bring something like it.
Why would he need that? Why would God need to be, why would God feel like he's challenged? Is God challenged by men?
Listen, it's not that God needs anything.
It sounds like it.
is establishing the evidence against them.
Why?
Because
There's a need there.
the Quran is going to be the guide for the people.
The air doesn't care whether you believe or not. The air exists.
The air is not God. God is
No,
not
it doesn't matter. I'm saying even a lower form
the Quran
doesn't care, but your God cares.
The Quran, God cares even to the minutiae of details.
But he never
Because
explained
he's
a lot
Rabb.
of things.
He's the Rabb.
He cares about that one.
The sustenance for everyone.
No, but he cares about that one, but he doesn't care about a lot of other things, like how you pray.
Excuse me. Wait. Do not just shift the goal.
I'm not shifting. It's the same context.
You're talking about your inability.
My inability.
The human being's inability, the jinn's inability, the creation's inability to bring something like the Quran. So the Quran offers a direct challenge. Be a man enough and say, I will find a chapter like unto it if I'm not able to do it myself. No one is able to. Why I'm saying, why are they unable? You don't see the gravity of this challenge.
No, because you're constrained.
That challenge dismantles the beliefs, crumbles the belief of every single else on this universe. The challenge is so profound, so profound. It obliterates, annihilates every single belief system in this creation.
I doubt
it tells us, if you doubt that this is not from God, produce something like it. To this day, the challenge stands like that. And we are seeing not a single person is able to bring something like it.
But they can't, because you're putting constraints, and your Quran also improves upon the challenge. Why would God need to improve upon the challenge?
God has improved on the challenge.
One surah,
I'm not going to
one book, 10 of them, an entire... No, because then you have to explain. If we go there, I'm going to go there too. But I'm just saying to you, however you chronologically you put it, it's irrelevant. There's 3 different challenges.
Same challenge.
No, it's 3 different wordings. So the Quran's wordings are not important.
You're not listening.
Are they not important? I am listening. You're not listening,
is
brother.
offering you either of the 3 options.
No, it would have been in the same verse, in the same surah, brother.
This conversation, because you're not being very sincere.
I am sincere. You're not.
In my estimation,
I listen to you for mostly, and then when I speak, you cut me off. And when I give you my opinion, you cut me off.
I'm not taking your opinion. This is not from sincerity.
How is that not?
I am telling you
it's in the Quran.
Black and white,
it's in the Quran.
The Quran, challenge of the Quran,
is not chronological. Is that your understanding?
Let me repeat my statement so you can understand. The challenge
I think you're getting
Quran
frustrated now.
That
yeah, okay.
You have the options of bringing the whole book if you wish. Make the whole book like the Quran. No problem.
I don't need to.
If you want 10
one
chapters,
verse, one surah.
If you want 10 chapters, you can do so.
One surah. I just want to do one surah.
One surah.
God's challenge.
So, give me one surah. Let me hear it, and tell me how this is.
Without your constraints. Without your constraints. The condition is bring one like it.
Okay, that's fine. Bring like it.
One like it. That's the condition. It's the condition.
Tell me how it's like it. Go on.
It's the condition.
The condition is like.
Can you read? No, because you're Muslim, right? Can you read it and say in English, and I will make it better?
You tell me.
I have to read the Quran then.
Look, your imitation.
So that I can do it better.
I want to hear your imitation like the Quran. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make it 7. In the name of the Creator.
Arabic.
Why would I speak Arabic? I don't speak Arabic.
It's not like it.
That's your constraint.
Friend?
But that's your constraint. Do you understand?
That's the end of the discussion, my friend.
Okay, have a good day then. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
It's not any point talking, because as I explain, this ring and you bring a cup. I'm sorry, we have to...
Then speak Arabic the whole time. Don't speak English at all.
No.
Because it makes no sense.
If you want to bring a ring, bring a glass like it. Bring a shoe like it.
That's just beyond. That's beyond condition.
This is the level
beyond
of
condition.
You
know I don't speak Arabic.
This is the level of your intellectual capability of grasping the nature of the challenge.
That's not the nature.
That's the level of your intellectual ability. Your intellectual ability, prowess of grasping the challenge.
Can God speak English? Can God understand English?
A ring. To bring a ring like it, you don't bring something like that, because
But that's not the same.
So when I say bring something like it, like the Quran,
you want the exact detail.
Arabic language.
Should I bring it in the same metal component?
The Quran is in Arabic
the same
language.
Metal component.
Excuse me, Arabic language. So I'll give you an opportunity one more time. Arabic language.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Okay, that's fine.
That's ridiculous. That's why you can never convert people. You can never convert people because you are putting yourself in such a manner.
People who are sincere.
You're not sincere.
With intellectual integrity.
That condition didn't exist. You just placed it straight away.
One condition.
The minute I came up with a verse, you instantly said you have to speak Arabic.
Similar.
So therefore,
How is
you're
it similar?
defeated.
How is it?
You're defeated.
How is your English similar to
You're
Arabic?
defeated.
Right, listen.
What do you mean?
How is
English
English
is
similar to
also a language that can explain a lot
How
of
is your
things.
English similar to the Arabic stylistics?
What do you mean? Shakespeare. What do you mean? Shakespeare.
You know what?
Shakespeare has a what?
You know what?
It's okay.
You need to really reflect on more. That's what
Maybe you should.
I do reflect on more.
No, you don't. Because you
no,
cut
you
people
tell
off.
me I don't.
You don't because you don't want to speak to me.
I don't want to speak to you.
It's okay.
have
Have a blessed Allah time.
a nice day.
Yeah.
God open up your heart.
May God open up your mind. May God open up your ability to understand things. What about the black stone? Why do you pray to a black stone? You're a stone worshipper.
Now the bigotry comes out.
Bigotry.
Hatred and hatred.
But I'm asking you, why do you? I didn't say you do. I said, why do you?
Hatred you have in your mind.
How's that hatred? How's that hatred?
The intellectual prowess of this individual.
That's just. I feel sorry for you, brother. I feel sorry for you. You don't have intellectuality. You pray to a stone and you can't explain it. Stone worshippers. Who's it,